everyone out there in the world of YouTube, or wherever it is you may be checking out this video or just a clip. And if it is just a clip for the intro, please stick around and watch the entire interview because I have a great guest. She is a distinguished guest. So you know that means she is a certified public accountant. But before I get started, let me introduce myself. My name is Jacqueline Anderson. So thank you for tuning in, checking out the channel. Share, like, subscribe, leave a comment. But my guest today has a wealth experience, knowledge in accounting. She's been in the accounting field for years. She, like I said, is a certified public accountant. And today I would like to welcome Ms. Marjorie McPike. Thank you for joining me.
Thank you for having me, Jacqueline. It's such an honor to be a part of your podcast and your YouTube channel.
Right.
Hello out there in the world of YouTube.
Right, well, thank you for
YouTube debut, so.
Well, welcome. Well, I would like to say thank you for saying yes to sit down and talk about your exam journey and career in accounting.
Awesome. Thank you. Thank you. I always like to share.
Right. So I will just start with, what is your name on your birth certificate?
So the name of my birth certificate is Marjorie Lynn Hicks.
Okay.
Yes.
Gotcha.
I went back a lot of years.
And where are you from?
I'm from San Diego, born and raised in San Diego. Live primarily in San Diego. I actually now currently live in Riverside County, actually in the Temecula-Wildomar area, which is about an hour north of San Diego. I've been here for a year, but the majority of my life, with the exception of about 4 years, I've been in San Diego.
Gotcha. So you stayed in California. You're a California girl through and through?
I'm a California girl, yes. I did venture out and I lived in Atlanta for a year.
All right.
Yeah. And then I lived in Pensacola, Florida for about 3.5 years.
Oh, okay. Mm-hmm. So that sunny weather.
Yes, yes. Pensacola is a lot like California, just a slower pace. So.
Gotcha. Okay. Well, let's delve into your accounting background. How long have you been licensed, or when did you get licensed?
I have been licensed since 2007.
Gotcha. Okay.
15 years.
Gotcha. And initially and only in California?
Only in California, yeah. So I was initially licensed in California, and I haven't ventured out as far as any other states because I don't do anything else that will require me to have a license in another state. So tax returns, you can still file them for other states, being in California, not having to get a new license. So something I haven't really thought about it, but you never know. Maybe in the near future.
Seeking that reciprocity in other states.
Yes, yes. But I still should check into it just so that you know, right?
Right, so you're prepared if opportunity presents itself, right? You're ready. You're not getting ready, you're already ready.
I'm already ready, yes. Very true, very true.
So
I will work on that.
Okay, and I know you might be like myself or other CPAs. Do you remember that coveted number?
Of course. Never forget it. You can see the license on my wall.
Of course. Right, that's near and dear to your heart, right?
Yes, I worked hard for that one. So
what is it?
It's 97825. And it's funny because you do tend to pay attention to that when you see other people, coming along and their license number is like, oh, was I licensed before them, or were they licensed, after me, or that kind of thing. So yeah.
That's interesting, right? Because it is in sequential order. So I guess they just kick it out of the system, just automatically gets the next number. So that gives you an idea how long someone has been licensed, probably their level of experience. Just a little tidbit, if anybody see someone or ask for the ID number, you'll know compared to someone else how long they may have been licensed.
Yeah.
So what about your educational background? Where did you go to college? And what degrees did you obtain?
So I started in college. I did the junior college route because I wasn't fully aware of all the requirements of getting into a four-year university. So when I got out of, when I graduated from high school, I just went to junior college. And then I actually went back to school. So I graduated from high school early. I ended up getting married. And then my marriage didn't last as long as it should have. And so when I came back home, I decided to return and finish my education. So So I went to junior college, and it took me a while to complete my my associate's degree and transfer. And then I attended undergrad at San Diego State University. So that's where I obtained my bachelor's in science with an emphasis in accounting.
Gotcha. Okay. So
And I must add that I recently went back to school and completed my master's in tax from Golden Gate. So yeah.
Congratulations. Awesome. That is great. So you finished?
I finished, yeah.
Oh, congratulations. That's a big accomplishment. So I want to delve into that. So recently, so you already had your CPA, although we haven't gotten into that. You already licensed. What made you decide to obtain your master's degree? Because it seems some of us have been told that the gold standard or having a CPA is enough. Why did you decide maybe you wanted that additional degree?
I think it was just personal reasons as far as wanting to obtain a master's. And when I started looking into the type of master's to pursue, whether it was an MBA or like an MSA, the MSA, all the courses were related to accounting and to taking the CPA exam. And that didn't interest me because I already had my CPA license.
Right.
So I started looking into tax and wanting to get more experience into the tax, and then also being able to advance in my career. And that seemed like a more viable option to me. So that's the reason why I went that. It was different than what I expected, because a master's in tax is tax law, and I was expecting tax calculations. So it was a lot of adjusting. It was very good information. I learned a lot, and I feel as though I'll be able to use it. But just so that people know, it's not. It's law. You're studying tax law and how to interpret and apply tax law.
Gotcha. So you think you may be going towards obtaining a law degree, being a tax attorney, CPA, and a lawyer at some point? Since you have that knowledge.
I enjoy researching, and that's one of the things that I'm doing now is I like researching and learning more about different tax laws and how to manipulate them. I wouldn't say manipulate, but how to use them to your advantage. So I enjoy that part of it, but I don't know if I want to go into. I don't want to go back to school because it's just too intense. It's just too much that you have to do. You have to absorb too much in a short period of time. And I think maybe years ago I may have wanted to do that, but right now I kind of want to just do it a different route. So no more degrees.
Sitting in the classroom. So after obtaining that additional credential or degree, did your career shift? Did that automatically take you into a different direction? Were you working or professionally?
It did not. And I think it's part of because it was more of a personal thing and not a employer endorsed thing. So a lot of times you're in public accounting and they'll see a need within their firm and they'll recommend, say, hey, well, we want you to do this because they're looking at the benefit for their firm, right? So whether they're looking at putting you as a manager or putting you as a partner, or you're on that track. So then you may have different support from your employer to do that. In my case, it was something that I had started working on before I went to my current job. And so it was more of a personal thing. So I was kind of expecting, but nothing really happened. And so it's one of those things where you have to create your own opportunities. So I can't expect for you to put me in a position or to give me a different position based on just having that master's. So I have to do something with it for myself in order to get the recognition or use the education in the way that I want to.
Gotcha. Okay, so in your current position, would you classify it as corporate, government, public accounting, or industry?
Public accounting. So I have been in public accounting all of my accounting, well, not all of my accounting career. So once I decided that I wanted to get my license, I went back. I started working for a CPA firm. So when I was in college, and one of the things that, kind of the strategy too that we all want to let people know about is when I was in college, I wasn't involved in organizations, so like accounting societies or any clubs or anything like that. I was going to school. I worked full time. I had 2 kids that I was raising by myself because I was a single parent for like 10 years. So the majority of the time while I was in school, I was raising 2 kids by myself. And so my focus wasn't so much getting all involved in everything because I didn't have the time to do it, and I didn't know that it was valuable. So if I was to tell anybody now, it's like take advantage of all the clubs that you have to offer, that are offered, and every opportunity that you have in order to network and to meet people and to learn more about the field of accounting and the options that are available, so that you can so that you know how to strategically, position yourself. So I forgot your question. I'm sorry.
Oh, I was just saying, given where you working, if it was corporate, industry, public accounting.
So I was working and doing that. So then when I decided to get my CPA license after working as a bookkeeper and accountant. So I worked primarily as bookkeepers and accountants. I worked in skilled nursing facilities. I was a full charge bookkeeper. I was a business office manager for many years. And then once I got my degree, I realized that I needed to have experience working in public accounting. So that's when I sought out a CPA firm to work for. And so since that time, so since 2003, I've been working primarily in public accounting.
Oh, okay. Do you have an area you specialize? Audit, tax. I know you talked about tax, but is it your area of specialty?
It's tax. I've done audit before. I've actually audited escrow companies and homeowners associations and some, for-profit entities, but it's primarily tax. That's what I do now. I prepare a variety of tax returns, primarily entity returns, partnerships, corporations. I do estate and trust returns, and also accounting, do accounting. Yeah.
All right.
The QuickBooks cleanup and things like that. So yeah.
Gotcha. Tax expert. They can interpret law with that degree you have now. Go around it. Well, thinking back on your exam experience, what prep course did you use, and why did you choose that one? Was it just a matter of convenience, or did the employer or school recommend it, or possibly reimburse for it? Which one did you choose and why?
My CPA exam journey was all on my own. So when I decided to take the CPA exam, I worked for a nursing home. And then I had to go out and find a CPA firm to work for. And I have to share that story with you too, because that's a good story.
Please.
But I used this CPA review, and it was primarily for the cost. And it was all self-study. So it was just me studying by myself. It's a good course because they do all of the self-study courses outline, like a timeline for you as far as what you need to do and what you should be studying at each time. So it was a good course. I think if I had to do it again, my recommendation for anyone that's looking to take the exam is to go to a live course. I think that the interaction is better, and the accountability helps you, and it helps you to stay on track. So even if you're just going to class 2 times a week, you know that you're getting in those study hours. When you do it on your own, it's easy to kind of say, oh no, I'm not going to study today. I'll do it tomorrow. And then, you not catch up. So I think the structure of those aspects.
Get thrown off track. Versus I've been held accountable, have something structured. You have to attend the class.
You have to attend the class, right? And then that while you're attending the class, you're going to pay attention for those 3 hours because you're there, right? So you're getting that, and then you just go and reinforce it. So I think that's a good way to do it. But you do have a lot of flexibility when you do self-study.
Right. Especially this day and age, everybody was so busy before COVID hit and shut everything down, but people had schedules that were jam-packed. The calendar was just overflowing with so many different appointments.
Right. So now there's more time, so hopefully people are taking advantage of that and using it, to get some good study time in.
I hope so, because those people I do know who say they want to be CPAs or said they're studying, it's like take advantage of this downtime where you don't have so many people tugging at you, or there's nothing to do socially anyway, so you don't feel bad for not being able to attend or turning down an invitation. There are no invitations.
Right.
So just take advantage of it. So how long was your journey, CPA journey or exam journey? When you started studying and started passing the various parts, how long did it take you?
It took me actually 4 years. But it should have, So it should have taken me 3 years, but the first time I took the exam, the first time I took the exam, it was when you had to take all 4 parts at one time.
Okay.
I don't know if you remember back that far, but they used to offer the exam in May and November only. And everybody took the exam at that time. So you took 2 parts on the first day and then 2 parts on the second day. So the first time I took the exam, that's the way I took it. And when I took it, I knew that I wasn't ready.
Okay.
But I wanted to take it just to get the jitters out, just to kind of know what to expect and get a feel for it, right? So that was the first time that I took it. And then I took it again, and I couldn't find those scores. So the second time I took it, it's like I just did the May and then the November. So I came really close in some of them, but I didn't pass it. So, and then it switched to where it was, you can schedule it like 1 exam at a time. So that's why, so then I started just kind of taking like 1 exam here or 1 exam there. So that's part of why it took a little bit longer. I wasn't in a rush like I should have been, but it got done. And then I had other things going on there. Because I know that was something that, when I kind of looked at it, because I created a spreadsheet and I went back and I started looking at it and scores and everything. And I was like, there was a lot going on, In 2004, it's like I took a section, and so on FAR, I got a 74.
Oh, crush it. Oh my goodness. That hurts. For those who don't know, minimum passing score is a 75. Yeah. So coming in at a 74. Oh my goodness.
Oh my goodness. Yeah. So that was hard. But I just kept going. Some of the times I took it, my mother passed away. She had cancer, and she passed away in January 2005. And so I decided to take an exam in April. And it's like, why would you do that? So of course, you're not fully aware, you're not fully studying. So there are a lot of challenges that came across, that came in, but I just kept pushing. So from May to 2006, May 2003 to 2006. But it actually didn't end up happening until 2007. So let me tell you that story.
Okay.
So I took audit, which was my last exam, in May of 2006. They told me that I didn't pass, that I got a 70. I was like, okay, this is my last exam that I needed to take. So by me not passing that class, I had to take, or that exam, I had to retake reg, okay, because I lost credit for it. So I retook reg, and then I retook audit. That time when I took audit, probably being distraught, I got a 74. I'm like, come on. And then I retook it again. But I passed reg. So I repassed reg, but I didn't do good enough for audit. Then in 2007, I took audit and I got 85. Okay. But then I got a letter like in May of 2007 that told me that I originally passed audit back in May of 2006.
What? I've never heard that story, or having them review it and it come out in the candidate's favor. I've never heard of that. So you retook this exam.
I retook that exam twice. I had to retake reg, yes. And then they was like, but you actually passed way back here. And I was
did they give an explanation or a refund anyway?
They gave me a refund. So they refunded tax or prep fees and expenses and things like that. So if I had to purchase a new course, whatever, they refunded that, and they refunded the fees that I paid to take the exams. But it's like you can't refund the agony, the mental, right? How do you refund that? It's like, wait a minute, because at that time my boss was like, hey, we'll give you a raise when you pass it, but it's like I didn't even pass it. So it's like, to me, that's a lot of wages too, right?
That's true. And then you got a score that you had passed, made a 70, but all the while you had passed that exam for audit.
Passed the exam for audit.
Did they give me an explanation for that? Because that's my first time ever hearing something so bizarre happening.
They just said that, and I had the letter too. They just said that there was an error with scoring it, and they went back and they did a rescore. And I didn't request a rescore.
Okay.
It's something that they generated. And they said that there was an error with scoring that exam.
So
it wasn't just me. So
so you just got a letter out the blue one day, open it up, and that's what it said. What went through your mind? What did you think? And at that point, you had already taken, and had you gotten your score back from the retake and passed it, and moved on.
And it's like, this is crazy. You know, it's like, I've already passed this. And so I've taken 3 more exams that I didn't even need to take, you know?
Right. Yeah, because you would have lost credit. So you saying you had to take that one.
Take that one. Mm-hmm. Yep.
Yeah, so you've been through it regarding the CPA exam. So
you're supposed to be a CPA, right?
Right, of course. Goodness. So you talked about losing your mother. I'm sorry to hear that, and overcoming some other challenges. Did you regroup and do anything differently, or is just you just didn't devote the time and didn't have, it wasn't in the right headspace to
I think
pay?
I wasn't in the right headspace, and I wasn't in the right headspace at that time. And one of my challenges has always been doing something else and studying. You know what I mean? So working full time, being a mother, being a wife, you know, I recall being at football games for my son, you know, on a Friday night with flashcards, you know, trying to study, trying to get in a little bit of, you know, get in something, you know. So I think that was my biggest challenge. And so I always recommend to people that the sooner you can take it, especially like if you're younger and you're considering taking it, just do it, you know, or right after you finish school and you're in that same mentality, because I finished my degree in like 2001. And so then I waited a few years before I decided to go back and start studying for the exam. So it's like when you're in a mode, you know, kind of like a rhythm of studying, and you know what you need to do and you're already sacrificing, it's like, just continue on with that, and you can knock it out in a year. It doesn't have to take you this long, you know, if you just really sit down and focus, you know, and do it before life happens, because you know, kids are priorities, you know. So, and I say my son, you know, I'm at football games with my son, but my daughter was still there doing other things. So it's like, you know, having to take both of them to where they need to be and give them their attention. You can't just ignore your kids all the time, right? So you have to find your time in order to do it. So and so.
And you decided to delve into it, tackle the CPA once, like you say, life had taken off. So how did you, or why did you decide to become a CPA? Or had you known, or if you had known that's what you wanted to do, it sounds like you would have stayed on that track early on. So what happened along your career to say, yeah, I want to be a CPA?
I don't like for people to tell me what I can't do or what else I need. So for you to tell me that I can't work in a CPA firm because I don't have a license, or I need a license in order to get a promotion, I don't like to hear that. That's kind of one of the reasons why I went back and got my degree in the first place. Well, I won't say in the first place, but that's one of the reasons. It's like, don't tell me that I need a degree in order to make more money, you know, or I can't get this position because I don't have a degree. So I'm going to go and get a degree, you know. I need a CPA license in order to work in public accounting or to advance in my career. So I'm going to go get a public accounting, you know, get my CPA. And not just that, but it's like, if you've done all the work to become an accountant, why not take the exam that goes with it? Kind of like, you know, you go to school to be an attorney, but then you don't take the bar or pass the bar, you know. So it's like, it's like the finishing touch. It's like, okay, I'm done with that.
You've done the work, or you're doing the work, now get paid for it and recognized for the knowledge and expertise.
And have the piece of paper that goes that says, you know, hey, I passed this exam. I'm recognized by the state, you know, as being a certified public accountant.
Right. And you saw it as a limitation in your career. You recognize that it would at some point hold you back.
And I don't like that. Yeah. So.
Gosh. Had that occurred, or did you just see it coming?
I saw it coming. I saw it coming. and I saw my job where I was being like a dead end. So I was working in a nursing home. I was a business office manager. It's like, I don't want to do this forever because this is all that I'm doing. It's like, I know that there's more out there that I can be doing. And that's kind of the reason why my career has gone the way it has, is because I've always wanted to put myself in positions where I can be challenged and grow.
So now that you do have the piece of paper, the knowledge and the expertise and the degrees to go along with it, do you feel like you are fairly compensated in your industry, in your area, in California, or are you still striving for more or having to prove yourself, or did those three letters equate to that big dream or fantasy some of us have when it comes to big dollars, big position, respect? Or is it something you're still striving for? I would say I am. I'm still striving. I'm still trying to get there. Sometimes you have to convince people. But you say, well, let your work speak for itself. Or did it come automatically? Especially when you're working.
It hasn't come automatically, and I feel that my accounting career, it's been different than some people's accounting career has been.
Okay.
I think that the firm that you go to makes a difference. I think that the experience that you get when you're initially starting out makes a big difference. So my advice, and I don't like to dwell on negatives either, so.
But be realistic, because this channel is here so people know what to expect and understand what may or may not happen, and then give some advice on maybe to avoid some of these pitfalls or issues you may have experienced.
Mm-hmm. I like to tell people to be strategic. So it starts with your education, right?
Okay.
So make sure that you're getting a good foundation for your education, that you're getting the grades that you need to get. Because when CPA firms start hiring, they're looking at grades. They're looking to find the best of the best. So be the best of the best, right? Because you want to go work at a larger firm that's going to give you the experience that you need so that you can build on that experience. And also because in public accounting, there are kind of guidelines that they have, meaning that if you've been working in public accounting for 1 to 2 years, they expect you to do such and such. If you've been working for 2 to 5 years, they expect you to do such and such, you know. So there are those standards that expectation is there. But if you're not working in an environment where you can meet those expectations, where you're getting that same experience, then you're going to have a disadvantage. So I didn't work in those type of firms. So the first firm that I worked in, it was very small. And although I got a lot of experience, I wasn't exposed to the structure, the structure and the type of clients that you would have in a larger CPA firm. So there's a difference, you know, and people will tell you too that that a larger CPA firm does different things and they have different clients. So that's why they're larger, right? So you're going to be exposed to larger clients, larger challenges, more complex issues, whether it's accounting, whether it's tax, whether it's bookkeeping. You're just going to be exposed to different issues. So I always worked in smaller firms, and so some of the firms that I went to, I didn't get the same base that I should have received, and so I think that kind of hindered me. But I did get good experience, and I do have a good work ethic, so I think that's what's carried me.
So do you think working at a Big Four should be the ultimate goal, or starting there, getting that exposure in a huge firm, should that be a student's aspiration or goal when you talk about being strategic and trying to position yourself?
Big Four is good because it's recognized as being one of the best firms, and so that looks good on your resume. Sure. But regardless of what firm you go to, I think that your focus should be on making sure that you're getting good experience. So okay. I have told people before, it's like, you know, even if you go to a smaller firm, to stay connected with people that are larger firms and kind of find out what it is that they're learning, what it is they're being exposed to, what it is that they're doing, so that you can request to do the same things in your firm, so that you can maintain, you know, your competitiveness.
Gotcha. So once you got in accounting, have you found yourself connected to someone that you would consider a mentor, or become a mentor yourself to someone, since you didn't have the traditional journey?
I've always mentoring people, whether directly or indirectly. I did meet a lady back in 2006, I think it was, and she kind of became a mentor to me. I actually interviewed at a firm, and she was there, and I asked her, she's an African-American woman, and I just plainly asked her, I said, if this doesn't work out, is it okay if I keep your card and contact you? And she was like, yeah. And so we stayed in touch over the years, and just conversation here, conversation there. She's one of the ones where we talked about me getting my master's, and she encouraged me to do that. And so I do have a mentor, and then I've developed some other relationships, through the years. I think I mentioned to you that I'm a part of the National Association of Black Women Accountants. So that's a good group of ladies that I have. And then as far as mentoring, like I said, I'm always mentoring someone directly or indirectly. And I'm always open. It's like, if I find somebody that's taking the CPA exam or that wants to be accountant, it's like, hey, call me, let's talk. Because anything that I can share to help them with their journey, I'm willing to share. So.
Okay. Well, I'm gonna ask you a hypothetical, or just what if you had a mentor, had been exposed to this early on in high school or maybe middle school, coming through just as you're going through school and deciding on what to do in life or what job to have, and ask you, what do you want to be when you grow up? Were you aware that CPA was an option, or what accountants did? And if you had known that, would that made a difference in
My
how life unfolded?
So when I was in high school, I wanted to be a math teacher.
Okay.
I enjoyed math, and I wanted to be a math teacher. And one of my high school teachers told me that I should be an accountant. She said that it's a good field, and that there aren't a lot of women, and there aren't a lot of Black women there. And so I was like, okay. So I took a bookkeeping class, and my first job was actually as a bookkeeper.
Okay.
I've never worked fast food. I've always worked in bookkeeping and accounting. So I became a bookkeeper, and when I started college, my major was accounting.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Well, that's good to know. Unlike some of us, we figured it out a little late in life. Well, that's good. Well, as you know, then, by being in the accounting field, Black people underrepresented. You've probably seen throughout your career in different companies, and then especially with women.
Mm-hmm.
And the statistic is less than 1% of all the CPAs in the United States, with it being around 650,000. We represent just Black people in general. So not even quite sure if you factor in the female side of that. The calculator probably explode.
Right.
Not being able to calculate it. What are your thoughts on bringing more Black people and women into the profession? How do we close the gap and increase the number of Black?
I think it's education and awareness, and that's one of the reasons why I'm a founding member of the Alliance of Black Women Accountants.
Okay.
And we came together in order to help to bring awareness, encouragement, and support for women of color in the accounting and finance profession. So we have been working with, speaking at universities. I think it's a big part of it is just being aware that we're there. So we need to be more visible.
Okay.
Female accountants need to be more visible. So whether it's on YouTube or Facebook or podcasts or whatever, we just need to be more visible, so that, because people identify with what they see, right?
Okay, true.
So I think being more visible, and then also reaching people at an earlier age. So we kind of had identified like junior college, but then we're thinking it may be middle school, where kids, people start taking classes, because that's usually when they start being involved in like Avid, I believe. It's either middle school or high school, but like Avid is a good way to kind of get in there and to show students that this is a career. But it's the visibility and the awareness, and it starts early. Okay. So even with connecting with like other groups that are like mentoring young people, that's a good way that we can do it.
But you feel we need to start early?
Start early. It needs to be early and consistent,
And what out there. And what about increasing the pass rates? Because we have people, there's a statistic to say that Black people represent about 9% in the accounting profession. But of course, that includes staff accountants, tax preparers, and bookkeepers. At what point should people continue to study? Because some people will start along the journey, but for whatever reason, they get off track, give up, or feel like it's just too much of a struggle.
And that's not just Black people, because I know that there was a girl that I was when I first started taking the exam, we were going together, and she was Chinese, I believe. And I
Okay.
don't think she finished. I think it's just for the perseverance. It's like, you can't quit. I mean, my goodness, I didn't quit. You didn't quit. It's like, it wasn't the first time. It's just something that you have to finish. You just have to stick with it. And as far as the pass rates, I think we just need to be more strategic in the beginning, and just, you know, just put in the, just realize that it's going to take time. It's going to take time, and just put the time in that we need to do it. So whether it's, putting ourselves in a position where we can step back from our job, if we're working, and trying to study, can we step back and just focus on studying for our exam, or do we just have to realize that, hey, I may step away for a year, but I'll be able to jump back in with my friends and catch up or surpass them or something like that. So it just has to be the sacrifice. It's a sacrifice. It's a sacrifice.
Making that decision.
Mm-hmm.
Changing your mindset, saying you are going to be disciplined and make that sacrifice. And no, it takes a sacrifice of your time, commitment.
Right. And then, it could kind of go back to not just the awareness, but also females in self-worth, so that we kind of put ourselves, and we have more of a vision for what it is that we want for our life early on, so that we don't get caught up so much in the riffraff and
off track, easily distracted with life.
You know how things can happen. It's like, and I said that too about like young men. It's like, if you don't have a vision for your life, then you're just kind of willing to accept whatever happens.
Mm-hmm.
So it's like going back earlier and putting that vision, encouraging people, men, young women, young men, to realize what it is that they want from their life, and what it's going to take to get there. So pick a career. You're in middle school, you're in 7th grade. What do you want to be? Think about what you want to be, and that may even be too late to ask them. Maybe it's something that you start talking to them about when they're 3 or 4 or 5. What do you want to be? How are you going to get there? And just start instilling that in them. And then they know that, it's going to take, because a lot of things, it builds. So education builds on itself. So it's like, the CPA exam, it may be more math, or it may be having to think about things differently. So start to develop those skills early on, more critical thinking, more analysis, start doing that early on, so that it's not so hard when it comes to that, and practicing it.
Right. Okay, well, 2 more questions. So as we wrap up, I'm almost done. But what does having CPA behind your name mean to you? Marjorie McPike, CPA, along with your other maybe credentials and degrees, but having CPA, what does that mean?
That I am a part of an elite group of accountants. Everyone doesn't do it. Everyone doesn't make the sacrifice to finish, but I did. I pursued it. Regardless of the challenges, I finished it. Yep.
Congratulations being a part of the exclusive club. And the final question, what thoughts or suggestions or recommendations do you have for other Black candidates or CPAs who are in the profession who may be struggling?
Don't give up. If it was easy, everyone would be doing it. Find someone that you can talk to, and remember, it's not just you. So you may be struggling, but you're probably not the only one. So find resources that are going to encourage you and build you up and supplement you. And this YouTube channel, find people that have overcome the challenges that you have, and just keep pushing forward. Just don't give up. It's not impossible. It may take some work, but you'll complete it, and it'll be worth it.
Oh, great parting words. Don't give up, and it's well worth it. The sacrifice, whatever it is you have to do. Well, thank you so much for sharing your experience, your expertise, and knowledge with the audience today. I appreciate you saying yes to sit down for this interview. Thank you very much, Ms. Marjorie McPike, Certified Public Accountant. And before I sign off, I would like to say thanks for tuning in. Remember to check out other videos, leave some comments, and if you are on this journey, please reach out. I'd love to interview you, or if you have some tips and advice because you've been in this for a long time, I'd like to interview you as well. But before I go, remember who you are and whose you are, and there's no time like the present. Thank you.